So, this guy is peacefully cooking a good ramen, and I have to admit, even I crave that dish. But what is even more tempting is the amazing behind that shows up in the kitchen naked to tell him that now she owns his Naruto. But suddenly she turns into a little loli. Let me give you some context for this craziness. This waifu's name, well, we'll call her Dora. The little one is a spirit that has been imprisoned for over 3,000 years or even longer. The thing is, our protagonist Jie had no idea why a lowly eater was in his house, stealing all his food. So he sits down patiently to ask her a bunch of questions, in which she tells him that she was summoned by his food, as he made a dish that served as an offering allowing her to be freed and come into this world. The protagonist, thinking he got a massive battle pass, decides to forget about it and heads to his classes. But on the way, the little one keeps appearing at every corner, mentioning that not only could she make him rich, he could be the president, a rock star, or even rule the world. The protagonist doesn't care about what she says and gets to class. Trying to endure her, he decides to leave when a girl was waiting for him in hiding to give him a love letter. When he finally felt like something normal was happening, Dora appeared to annoy him a bit. In his anger, he tells her to go to hell, making the girl think the insult was directed at her, since no one else can see Dora, only him. That same afternoon, while little Dora was sleeping under a tree, Jie shows up with lots of food, begging her to please leave his life. After hearing those sincere words, Dora adopts her perfect form. This beautiful woman, with tears in her eyes, mentions that when a master does not accept the contract with a spirit, they must wander in loneliness for all eternity, in a world where only the spatial void is found. But she will never forget the beautiful moments he has given her, as she had never been able to enjoy days like she has with him. But before leaving, she decides to show him the world as she sees it. She takes his hand and transfers her power to the protagonist, showing him that among people there are spirits, those who possibly are no longer here, but remain to keep people happy. She then proceeds to mention that in the world there are special people who have unique abilities to summon spirits. They are known as the summoners. With these spirits, they have the ability to use powers for good or for evil, depending on what they truly wish to do. Dora shows him the power he possesses and takes him flying over the city, where their energy runs out and they crash into a tree. Badly injured at home, the power goes out because he hadn't paid the bill. She uses her magic to light up and simultaneously heal them. At the same time, she tries to tell him about her past, but various traumas cause her little brain to collapse and she falls asleep. Next morning, while Dora is sunbathing, the protagonist watches a basketball game. They report on the sighting of a flying man and a destroyed tree, making them realize they need to keep everything secret and not be so crazy. Since the waifu was bothering him, the protagonist puts on his headphones to drown her out, causing him to not notice that his girl was being devoured by a carnivorous plant. Well, the plant really eats her and only leaves her panties for the protagonist. The plant escapes and he starts chasing it, but the damn thing is fast. The farther away it gets, the weaker Dora becomes, as once a contract is made, the spirits and their summoner need to stay close enough to use their abilities. The creature is very cunning and hides in a school festival. The protagonist feels Dora's presence getting farther away, and their telepathic connection is growing weaker. Trying to find her, this huge guy shows up with intentions of beating him up for making his sister cry. The waifu, like Mr. Satan, starts breaking some stones, showing off how strong she is and that she would protect him. But Jie once again leaves them talking and keeps looking for his waifu. A kid with glasses appears, saying he knows what he is looking for and how he can help him find it, as he is special and would be interested in joining an organization of people with similar abilities. But the protagonist doesn't care and steps on his face to gain momentum and capture the wrong plant. In his communication with Dora, he hears music, knowing where it is coming from. He reaches a rock event, feeling someone watching him from the trees. He tries to act casual and says that now, thinking things through, it's good that Dora is being eaten, so he gets rid of her. The waifu gets pissed and starts beating the creature from the inside, causing the protagonist to find it and get very close, giving Dora energy to burst out with her huge boobs in the open. After beating the plant, it escapes with its summoner, a mysterious woman in a school uniform. When Dora tries to hit her, she ends up hitting the air. As the woman is no longer there, the protagonist quickly analyzes the situation. He knew the plant had to be a summoning, as no one else could see it, and it had a lot of power, so its summoner had to be nearby. The girl, besides having the uniform and a black flower as an earring, indicated she belonged to wealthy people and a prestigious academy. All of this matches as the girl talks to the old man from the academy the protagonist attends. They plan to see the potential Jie has as a summoner, but somehow wish to take his spirit away. The girl invites him to the Black Rose Forest, where a battle begins. The waifu was really powerful and and could solo her easily, but she was making very obvious attacks that the guy could dodge. However, they decide to attack Dora since she was the most clueless, lost in her own world looking for her special weapons. The protagonist protects her from an attack that could have eliminated her, but they both survive with Dora's sacred daggers. There, the guy starts slicing up the enemy, surprising the girl with his combat skills, and after winning the battle, he simply mentions that he's just a cooking expert. Seeing the opportunity to stab the Nalgotica, Dora lunges at her, but the protagonist stops her attack, mentioning that all this time, the woman held back, as there were a huge number of trees around waiting for orders to attack. The plant then mentions that they passed the test, but Dora didn't because she just wanted to keep stabbing. The waifu changes the subject and says they should go eat, which the Nalgotica agrees to without even speaking, as her stomach growls in agreement. After dinner, she introduces herself as Hannah and tells Jie that from now on, she will be closely watching him. He might be a good person, but there are summons that never have good intentions, and Dora is a summon unlike any other, as she has never been seen before, which piques Hannah's curiosity. That same day at dawn, a cat girl appears, seemingly having a terrible dream where her brother was turned into some sort of crows. The protagonist's school day turns into a disaster. A huge number of animals attack the institution, and the streets are also invaded by massive stampedes. It looked like Jumanji. The news mentioned that all the zoo animals had escaped. Jie sees a girl who seems lost, and he rushes to protect her, thinking the animals intend to attack her. Everyone is shocked, and without thinking too much, he grabs Meow to take her away, but the cat he has been caring for ends up attacking him. Hannah watches everything from the rooftop of a building, where Greenball mentions that this girl is not ordinary and possibly belongs to the side of the bad guys, summoners who only want to destroy and control the world. So the two decide to attack her mercilessly, capturing her animals and leaving her no choice but to fight. The battle seemed one-sided at first, with Hannah looking quite comfortable fighting and confident in her strikes. But things change when the Nico begins using her spiritual abilities. Her attacks become faster, and she adopts powers from other creatures, like the eagle's sight, enabling her to see Hannah's movements more easily, or the speed of a leopard, allowing her to attack from behind. This forces Hannah to summon her huge golem, but the cat girl isn't left behind and counters Hannah's strength with a giant bear, which ends up being crushed. As time passes, Hannah starts receiving damage through her summoning, but that's when Jie realizes that Meow also has injuries inflicted on the Nico during the fight. With Dora's help, he stops the battle to reveal that the summoner is Meow and the girl was simply a spirit. Wait, what? In her adult form, Dora mentions that it's time to stop messing around, suggesting that they should recover and then talk things over calmly. She warns that if they keep trying to fight, she is capable of attacking the injured without mercy. Hannah reminds the protagonist who he is supposed to be with, implying that he had picked the wrong ally and now had the wrong person as an enemy. Basically, he had really messed up. Anyway, they get home, and the protagonist takes care of Meow, who explains that she caused all that chaos to make her brother appear because he was still alive and his trail had led her to that city. But despite everything she did to get his attention, he still didn't show up. As they eat and have a night full of video games with the girls, the doorbell rings. The protagonist goes to see who it is, and some guys in suits ask him to dinner. He tries to close the door, but they are kidnapped by these men, who take them to a big mansion, Hannah's home. In that place, many summonings and spirits of all elemental types inhabit, all summoned by one person. That person is the boss they will meet. Upon entering the mansion, they are greeted by a beautiful statue, a goddess who was the first leader of the Watchers. Upon seeing the statue, Jie starts hearing a call. He suddenly finds himself in a beautiful landscape where a blonde woman greets him warmly. When he tries to walk, Dora stops him, asking what's going on. Jie doesn't respond, and they continue to meet the mustached man. This old man is Harlan, an incredibly powerful summoner who easily controls them to sit down. The old man explains that there are Watchers and Destroyers, where obviously one side wants peace, and the other wants to destroy everything in their path for power. Jie has to choose a side, but he mentions that his parents told him that the mafia was not the way to go. Harlan reminds him who he really is. It turns out that his real parents disappeared when he was 5 years old. He was taken in by another family, and to avoid remembering that his real parents had disappeared, he dyed his blonde hair. He possesses an unknown spirit and still keeps a photo of his real parents, hoping one day to discover the truth or maybe even find them. When Dora checks the protagonist's wallet to see if what the old man said was true, she finds the photo showing only a blonde woman who looks identical to the goddess that appeared in that sudden dream where she called to him. On the other hand, Meow's brother is the most wanted killer in the world right now. He joined the Destroyers and is now causing chaos wherever he goes. Everyone is in shock from all this information, but suddenly they are attacked unexpectedly. Harlan stops the huge Bane that just arrived. While fighting, he asks Hannah to protect Jie. As they try to escape, escape, they encounter not only a great destruction of the mansion but also a woman eliminating the spirits, while Miaowu finds herself with her brother. After many years, greets her with a massive bullet. When Jie tries to attack Miaowu's brother, he ends up in a kind of dream, where once again this woman was calling him. This time, he sees himself as a child with blonde hair, and the woman was his mother who hugged him. But suddenly, the surroundings turn very dark, and the woman transforms into a terrible mummy. With all this, Jie ends up unconscious. The old man continues his arduous fight, with Hannah confident that her grandfather could win his battle. She is in a fierce dispute with the blonde, but when trying to surprise her, the blonde warns that she should never let her guard down. The golem's attacks affect her, and an explosion causes Hannah to be gravely injured. Additionally, a ninja appears from the shadows to slice her neck, leaving Hannah practically eliminated. I say this because the grandfather quickly uses healing magic to keep her alive. However, as he is saving her, he is attacked by surprise. Despite stopping the big guy's strike, he cannot stop the Raven's attack, who not only pierces him but leaves him at the mercy of the blonde, who places her gun on his forehead to quickly eliminate Harlan, or at least that's what they thought. The old man lets all his power flow and starts beating up everyone present, almost sending the Raven to meet St. Peter. But suddenly the Grim Reaper arrives, who seems to be the leader of the destroyers. This one can actually face the old man and defeats him easily, seizing all his power. The objective had been fulfilled, and they leave alive those still on the field. Hannah remains asleep, unaware of what happened. Everyone is worried because the destroyers are too powerful. Although Dora wants revenge, they can't attack without having information about them. So Jie, while investigating, finds a profile of a person named Stan. This guy seems to know everything about the summoners, as he has satellite videos of the fight, a comic about summoners, and other topics. The idea is to find him so that he becomes the key piece of the team. Thus, they attend a book signing he is going to hold. They arrive strategically to surprise him, but they are the ones surprised, as the guy already knew they were there. In fact, he has been watching them all this time. You see, he has the power to control anything with his cell phone, can see cameras, knows secrets of countries, nuclear codes. I mean, this guy is the real-life Jarvis. While talking to him, they detect that the enemy is approaching. At that moment, purely by reflex, Miaowu saves them from an unexpected attack. They run away without knowing what they are escaping from, since the attacks are from a long distance. Dora asks who might want to eliminate him, to which he responds that it could be anyone, as he has messed with a lot of important people. The fact is, they managed to escape in a vehicle. However, the escape wasn't going to be easy. Drones were pursuing them. According to Stan, these could be controlled by one of the destroyers. Nico and Dora do their best to destroy them, but all their attacks are evaded. Stan manages to bring down one of them with electricity, but the robots are smart and cut off their path, causing them to fall, and now they have to face them, thinking their moment to meet their maker had come. Stan smiles, and out of nowhere, a huge vehicle appears. This guy, saying he's going to get serious, transforms his cell phone into a game controller and mounts a transformer? But what the hell is going on? Stan easily wins the battle. It's then that Jie realizes that the little Stan was the weird kid who kept inviting him to a summoner's club. In reality, the guy doesn't have any club and always goes through life alone. So as he has potential and is a high hacker, Jie invites him to the group. Stan takes them to his motor home, where he tells them everything he knows about summonings. In the previous months, there were many spiritual summonings which had been due to their own event, meaning they didn't have a summoner, the cause of which was unknown. But what they know is that the green dots began to be devoured by the red ones, which are destroyer attacks that took over these spirits. It happens that all the anomalies started the same day that Dora appeared in that world. In order to get better information, they go to Hannah's house, or rather the place where there was a mess, to rebuild the crime scene with data that still remained in the security camera and help from the satellite. We know that night there were 7 destructors. The first was Ruthless, a subject who attacked from the sky through a portal, where there was likely another user, as well as a fire summoner known as Flame. Let's not forget Nico's brother Crow. The one who knocked out the protagonist was Dream, a user capable of controlling dreams and emotions. The one who stabbed Hannah was Shadow, and finally the Grim Reaper, the leader of the destructors capable of absorbing powers of spirits and human souls. Their mission was not only to kill the old man, but also to take over what was under the residence, as it turns out that in that place there was a huge amount of spirits, sealed, that the old man had captured, because they were beasts that arrived without being summoned and could be dangerous to the world. There they find a clue, which indicates the location of possibly one of the destructors. Dora thinks it's time to start with revenge, but the protagonist says that it's best to create a plan, as it could be a trap. However, his group wants to arm a disorder without fear of success, convincing him to go and eliminate one of the destructors. While they travel, Jie tells them about his life, and everyone is interested in hearing about Dora. She mentions that whenever she tries to remember, her head hurts. Stan confirms that it's true. Upon analyzing her, he discovered that Dora's memories are sealed in her heart. The reason for this is is unknown, as well as how to remove the seal. But for now, it's best to focus on the possible battle ahead. They reach the stone forest and come across an ancient village, completely abandoned, apparently due to an illness or some grave event that forced people to leave the place. They continue onward and encounter a beautiful area covered in lycoris flowers. In the middle stands a house that seems lively, in the sense that there are people inside. They hide among the flowers and observe a man coming out to plant. Stan takes the opportunity to scan him, but due to the signal, the scan would take too long. Hours pass without noticing anything strange. Everything seems normal, and the man appears to be an ordinary human. A storm approaches, and they need to act quickly. Dora, being naive, ends up shouting in the bushes over a mouse she found. Jia mentions that the man is greeting them, so he decides to go talk to him. The man is very friendly and offers Jia a drink, which Jia obviously declines without the man noticing. Jia plays along and lies about an excursion to this place. The man mentions he's been living there for years without visitors and reveals that he planted all those flowers over 10 years, as it was a dream of his first love. Suddenly, the storm intensifies and the man looks pale. Stan, worried, shouts that they need to eliminate him quickly, but it was too late. A huge lightning bolt hits the man while he starts screaming, asking for forgiveness. As it was too late, turns out the man is one of the destroyers who has multiple personalities and is basically a person who has committed crimes unintentionally. None of their weapons could have any effect, where Dora decides to use a great technique with Jia that would take a long time to complete. At that moment, Miaowu tries to fight to gather energy for them, but ends up being knocked out. Stan, with a good ability of clones, distracts the man for a good while, but he increases his power and destroys the entire field of flowers, revealing many bodies in the place, indicating that the village that lived there disappeared because of him. Jia could finally fight, and Dora mentions in her mind that she has countless weapons she can use, but all she has to do is not think, just fight and let her body flow on its own. So her skills are more accurate, something that really affects the Stone Man, because now he can receive damage with sacred attacks. In a coordinated attack, and with the help of Thor's great hammer, Jia leaves Mudu in his human state. Mudu pleads with them not to eliminate him, warning that things will only get worse if they do. He then recounts his past. Some children are born with spirits inside them, which gradually consume them, turning them into half-human, half-beast creatures in appearance. His mother died giving birth, his father committed suicide, and he was mistreated by other children. One day, during an attack from thugs, he was severely injured, accused of being a beast and an animal, and taken to the Stone Mountains where he was chained to die. However, a girl named Hua visited him regularly. She always shared her food and talked about her dream of planting flowers. The first flower they managed to create together was a white lycoris on the protagonist's arm. For some reason, he could keep it alive, which made Hua happy. Over the years, the two became practically a hidden couple in love. But as the land became infertile and harvests declined, the crowd decided to eliminate Mudu, believing him to be a curse. Hua tried to protect him, but amidst the chaos and merciless attacks, Hua ended up receiving a mortal blow that took her life in the blink of an eye. All the repressed rage in Mudu exploded at that moment. Blinded by fury, he began to massacre the villagers and anything around him that had life, as he had lost everything. The only person who loved him had stopped breathing before his eyes. The seal on his chest was bestowed by the Grim Reaper, leader of the Destroyers, with the condition that he work with them, but also to keep him safe, as the parasite within him has enormous power that would take his life if released. As Jia thrusts his sword into Mudu's chest, the seal breaks, Mudu dies, and the creature within him emerges. Now the true battle had begun. The Destroyers knew Mudu was in trouble, so the Grim Reaper orders everyone to be gathered to save him. Meanwhile, Nico and Stan try to confront him, but it was all in vain. Despite Jia having a new power, the enormous sacred attack is broken by the creature. Jia, unconscious, is protected by a frightened little Dora. In a deep sleep, Jia sees a sealed crystal, the same crystal seen inside Dora. Upon touching it, he activates a hidden power that she possesses, revealing Dora's true identity. A deity with a cold gaze, seeming half angel and half demon. The difference is incredible. Dora's power surpasses Mudu's, causing his imposing figure to disappear as if he were a mere fly. When Jia wakes up, Dora is in her child form. She also doesn't remember what happened, but at least they had one. Despite not obtaining valuable information, Jia knows they no longer need to search, because now the Destroyers will come for them. Despite having won, they were badly injured on the bus. Suddenly, the level A alert alarm starts blaring, but Stan didn't give it time to react, as Shadow appears to cut the vehicle in half. Cuervo leaves them even more wounded, allowing Flame to take 2 shots at Stan and Miaowu's heads. Only Dora and Jia were left, but as the protagonist tries to fight, he is captured by Death, who gives honors to this girl with the Rubik's Cube, cutting the protagonist into countless pieces. Jia awakens in a strange world, where a hooded figure tells him he has just died in one of his temporal lifelines, along with his entire team, without being able to do anything, but he is given a chance. He will have 3 minutes to change his fate. The mysterious man is revealed to be his father, promising they will meet at the Devil's Forge once his mission is complete. The protagonist wakes up 3 minutes before the ambush and tells them what will happen. Everything unfolds again, but with a slight change. They had left a bomb for the destroyers. They escape in another vehicle with the intention of finding Hannah at home, but she had left, leaving a letter. Stan steals Hannah's helicopter, heading towards the Devil's Forge, as she left coordinates to that place in the letter. Stan is excited, as it is known as a legendary place where the best summoners have been trained, filled with secrets, weapons, and endless things. It could be a good opportunity to improve their skills and face the enemy. Everyone is excited and decides to rest, but when it's time to face the first trial, they are tormented. Many tornadoes, lightning, and an enraged sea await them. With fear but determination, they manage to pass the test. However, Jie feels something is wrong and instinctively dodges Shadow's attack, who had been chasing him all this time. Cuervo appears with flame to continue shooting at them. They defend themselves with the robot created by Stan, but with their current power levels and still being injured, it's impossible. Stan decides to make a forced landing on the island, where the destroyers are walking towards them with clear intentions to end it all. But there, a waifu with a deep backstory dressed as a rabbit slaps papers on their faces, telling them they've broken 12 island rules. Rules that are gravely important, and now they must be punished because they are in the Devil's Forge and she doesn't care that Flame is aiming a gun at her. Her name is Bonnie, and she confronts several veteran graduates about why they are allowing chaos, knowing the rules of the place. Shadow tries to eliminate her, but the white-haired guy calms her down and mentions they should retreat to avoid trouble. Dora and Stan thank Bonnie for her help, and she welcomes them, asking them to register at the forge. The only catch is that the path is long, and they are exhausted and thirsty. Luckily, a mysterious man arrives and offers to take them on his large chameleon. Along the way, the strange-hatted man mentions that the Devil's Forge is an arena, a place for battles created after a huge war between the Watchers and the Destroyers. They decided to create an island where they could live in peace, settling their differences in the Colosseum or leaving the island to fight. On the journey, he takes them to the best bar, where as newcomers he tries to squeeze some money out of the owner. Stan chooses the Door of Wealth, having hacked into a mafia account and stolen money from them. Dora goes through the Door of Beauty, taking the protagonist with her because they make a perfect pair. The Nico is rejected at that door, so she goes through the Door of Strength, causing havoc there. The strange-hatted man passes through the Door of Celebrities. Wait, is that Stephen Hawkins? What's going on here? It turns out that many deceased celebrities allegedly come to the forge to have fun and earn money in the trials. This guy seems to be someone important, but I don't know about you, but I have a hunch that it's Jack the Ripper. The trials begin where all participants must go through several floors, 12 in total, like any tournament or dungeon crawl. The farther you advance, the harder it gets, but the reward is juicy. The first floor is a free hotel with all-inclusive amenities, where several veterans smile because they see the newcomers going crazy over getting everything for free, as this turns out to be the first trial. While they were enjoying a good bath, Frogwa TV announces the news about the MVP. It turns out that Hannah was already on the 11th floor, handling everything with ease, and nothing stood in her way. This encourages the group to give their best effort, so they decide to take a nap to be ready for the next day. But at midnight, things start to get spooky. The room where Dora and the protagonist were changes color, and many traps spring up. The walls begin to close in, and despite their efforts to destroy the door, they can't. However, Dora can create anything, so they create a master key that allows them to escape. Meow exits her room like a cockroach, and Stan escapes through the ventilation ducts. The trial had already begun, and the examiner had many traps all over the building. Rooms start exploding, spikes, saws, sand, and even the floor goes to hell, where more than one participant ends up falling into the lava. The protagonist and Dora manage to save several people, including their friends who nearly met their demise. Next up were laser beams, followed by a flaming rock chasing them. With great determination, they reach the main hall where the examiner awaits them. He congratulates them for making it this far. Several fighters try to attack him, but he stops them, as the rules prohibit attacking examiners. He offers rewards to everyone, but Stan ends up triggering an explosive reward. Jia saves him from the blast, and they fall to a lower level. Here, the examiner is Bonnie, the bunny girl. She has prepared a racetrack for them. They must complete 20 laps, and the first 15 to finish will advance to the next round. Dora, Jia, and Meow have an advantage due to their abilities, but what will Stan do? He seems incapable of completing this activity. However, the most important thing happening in this tower is that the white-haired guy seems to have awakened a terrible creature with intentions to send it to eliminate Jia. Protagonist's team was winning the competition with ease. Suddenly, Suddenly, Stan appears at high speed with a missile. The protagonist warns them not to take it lightly, as the real challenge is yet to come. Many participants behind them have stopped, realizing that if they can't win by running, they can defeat those ahead of them. The protagonist is attacked with multiple shots, trying to evade them, but the projectiles chase him. They decide to redirect the projectiles towards their owner, which incapacitates the enemy. Miaowu defeats the boy with poisonous smoke using her animal summoner, and the boy with the crazy swords is defeated by a famous manga artist. In the end, there are fewer than 15 participants left in the competition, making it likely that they will win comfortably. Meanwhile, Flame and Shadow engage in a friendly duel. The girl with pigtails interrupts the fight, saying they are so bored that they're fighting each other. She reveals that she infiltrated the forge but couldn't enter the Colosseum. She tried to use her teleportation powers but failed. Instead, she brought an old TV where they can watch Frogwa TV. On the screen, they see some very random contests. Cooking events where the protagonist obviously wins, singing and instrumental competitions, and a plethora of tests that seem suited for high schoolers. Flame shoots several times at the screen, and the cool white-haired dude appears. The waifus freak out because they were not supposed to leave, but he tells them that he also can't stop thinking about the forge. He gives them permission to take a vacation there and even participate in those events. They just need to bring a gift to the protagonist from him. In another scene, we see the forge's high command making plans to gather energy through the participants. With the total number of people enrolled and those who lose and re-enroll, they have collected a total of 30,000 spiritual energies in just one day. This will be used to awaken the enormous and mystical Pandora, the source of all spirits. But what will happen after her awakening? Well, that's a mystery they'll solve in another season. If you want more epic anime, comment the word gorgeous waifu, and I'll get to work on it.